comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air.
Frankly, there are a lot more sightings than have been made public.
There's stuff flying in our airspace. We don't know what it is. We need to find out.
From Stonehenge to the Mayan temples to crop circles. From Hollywood movies like E.T., Guardians of the Galaxy, Predators, Arrival, to Bollywood favorites like Koi Mil Gaya or PK, humans are fascinated by aliens, by the idea that something is out there, that we can communicate with other thinking beings who share this universe with us. Do UFOs or extraterrestrial beings exist? There have been plenty of unconfirmed sightings and conspiracy theories. And now the US Pentagon is presenting a report to the Senate that could change the way we officially view the universe. The federal investigation, according to the New York Times, has not found convincing proof of alien activity. But nor has it been able to definitively rule out extraterrestrial reasons for UAPs or unidentified aerial phenomena.
The number of UFO sightings in Canada is soaring tenfold over the past 25 years.
Is something really out there?
It seems our province is a hotspot for unidentified flying objects. Over the years, thousands have been reported.
In April 2020, the Pentagon officially released 3 videos of UAPs taken in 2004 and 2015 that included audio of pilots amazed at the speed of the objects they were seeing.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. The whole thing, dude.
This spurred the US federal government to investigate further. What was once on the fringe was suddenly mainstream. So much so that CBS aired a special episode of 60 Minutes dedicated to unidentified aerial phenomena.
Everyone wants to know if aliens are buzzing around in our sky.
Is America serious? Does it really expect an alien invasion? Why else would the US military be interested? Is it mere coincidence that this renewed interest in UFOs comes as the US faces a possible new two-front Cold War with Russia and China? Or is it the beginning of a new arms race, this time in space? According to the New York Times, the Pentagon investigation rules out any American technology behind the sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena, which means it's not ruling out the possibility of a Chinese or Russian hand. But the Pentagon report also has a classified annex, according to the New York Times, which will not be made public, and begs the question, what is the US government hiding? Alien activity? Actual aliens? Or proof of a rival nation's secret weapons? Or nothing at all? To believe or not to believe? That is the question.
When we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery that, frankly, engage in actions that are difficult to explain, that movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for.
The UAP task force was created in August last year to investigate UFO sightings observed by the US military. When the US Congress passed the $2.3 trillion omnibus appropriation bill in December 2020, it mandated that the Pentagon and a number of other intelligence agencies must submit a report to the US Senate laying out what they know about unidentified aerial phenomena.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.
One of the most famous of all alleged UFO sightings dates back to the 24th of June, 1947. Civilian pilot Kenneth Arnold was flying a small plane near Washington's Mount Rainier when he says he saw 9 glowing blue fast-flying objects. According to Arnold, the objects were flying in a V formation. He described the aircraft's motion as similar to a saucer if you skip it across water. And that's when the term flying saucer caught the world's attention. Soon, news headlines were claiming that a flying saucer had crashed in Roswell.
I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucer.
The flying saucer mystery makes headlines.
Flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
In the same year, just outside Roswell, a local rancher discovered mysterious, unidentifiable debris in his pasture. Officials from the local Air Force base asserted that it was from a crashed weather balloon. But the theory that it was the remains of an extraterrestrial flying saucer spread like wildfire. Nobody could determine whether those strange things were UFOs or not, but the world's fascination with the unknown and the alien grew, along with the thirst for answers.
Which is probably the most significant subject in our entire civilization, because it juxtaposes whether or not there's a force out there that we can identify with these sightings of saucers, you call it, whatever, and that force is observing the planet.
Unexplained sightings are one thing. Human beings being physically abducted by aliens and living to tell the tale is quite another. In 1961, an American couple described exactly that. Betty and Barney Hill were driving back from a vacation when they claimed an alien spaceship descended in front of their car. They found themselves back home the next morning with memories of a shiny orb, humanoid beings, and buzzing sounds. Their clothes and watches were torn, and their car had shiny concentric circles on it. Their story inspired the 1975 movie, The UFO Incident. The dramatic account of Arnold's experience at Mount Rainier in 1947 and the flood of reports of UFO sightings that followed made the US government sit up. In 1952, the Air Force began a series of studies called Project Blue Book, which investigated more than 12,000 claims of UFO sightings. These 12,000 were whittled down to 59, and another committee was set up in 1966 by the US Air Force to look into these 59 cases. But the 1968 Condon report trashed everything, saying none of these sightings examined showed any real evidence of unusual activity. The Condon report recommended that the Air Force stop investigations into UFO-related incidents.
It's actually the glare from the infrared, in the infrared. The engines of a plane are very, very hot, and they show up in the heat-sensitive camera essentially as bright lights. Now, in this video, it's inverted, so hot is black, so it looks like a black object.
But human curiosity found its way back to the national agenda.
In the past, they would, it's like talking to a kid that done something wrong and just pat you on the back and say, let's go. Now it looks like maybe you made a difference. I know that there are UFOs out there.
John Callahan, the FAA's investigations chief in the 80s, was part of a probe into a UFO sighting report made by the crew of a Japan Airlines flight in 1986. But the results of that investigation were swept under the carpet.
This is the FAA's report of what happened. This is the video that I took. This is the voice tape. I still have all the records.
The US Air Force began a policy of discouraging their pilots to speak about any inexplicable encounters. But more and more such reports were coming in. In 2007, the US Congress allocated $22 million for the creation of a secret Pentagon program.
What's behind how these UFOs move? Well, there is a physics behind it. And in the secrecy that's been built up around this subject, if we can break that down and bring this technology out, we can create an entirely new civilization here and solve some of our worst, most intractable problems.
The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program was closed in 2012. But after the Pentagon confirmed the authenticity of the 3 viral videos in 2017, there was a wave of renewed interest. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force was set up in 2020. Roswell, Area 51, Dreamland. Names that any student of UFO lore would recognize instantly. Conspiracy theorists believe that the remains of a spacecraft that crashed at Roswell in 1947 are stored at Area 51, an Air Force base near Las Vegas. Some believe the government studies time travel at Area 51, also known as Groom Lake or Dreamland. What goes on inside is extremely secret, and the secrecy surrounding Area 51 has only helped to fuel more conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories are rife on both sides of the divide. Just as there are those who strongly believe governments around the world are complicit in a cover-up of alien visits, there are also those who believe that these theories are driven by big money, because big money is riding on them. They believe alien conspiracy theories are in fact funded by the government because of the profits they bring. In 2007, when US Senator Harry Reid created the Pentagon UFO program, many speculated he was influenced by his longtime billionaire friend, Robert Bigelow. Reportedly, it was Bigelow's company that received the $22 million contract to conduct the investigation. In an interview, Bigelow said he was absolutely convinced that aliens exist and that UFOs have visited Earth. Chris Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, has stated that he was the source who provided the New York Times with the UFO videos it published in 2017. Critics were quick to point out that Mellon is an investor in a company dedicated to UFO-related research and stood to benefit from the increased military outlay. Many also believe that intriguing alien stories are propagated simply because they make for good entertainment. An entire industry, after all, has been spun out of the curiosity factor and the entertainment value of that mysterious object called the UFO. According to a recent poll, 2/3 of Americans believe there is intelligent life on other planets. 56% believe we have already made contact with them or will within the next 100 years. And over half believe that UFOs might be alien spacecraft. Ultimately, humans have always believed that there is more to the universe than our 5 senses reveal to us, that the truth is out there.